Hello, everyone, and welcome to Pax Area Gaming. My name is Reg, your host, as we continue the journey of the Destined One.
Okay, we're heading towards Bitter Lake. But before we get to that area, there's a little bit of exploration to do.
There are going to be a lot of these little annoying creatures around. None of them can really hurt you all that much. Collect the wisp. Lots of little nooks and crannies to explore in this section of. What we are doing is just sort of clearing out this first part. And that's going to sort of lead us off into another area. There's lots of these guys. So if you're in your first playthrough, there's a lot of will that you're trying to get, then yeah, going about it this way would be good because you definitely would get a lot. Knocking down these little areas. There's lots of little plants to find that you can take back to Zodiac Village. Fan guys are probably the toughest enemy in the area. This one was because he was a spirit that you could absorb. A couple of other fan guys in the area, and a couple of other enemies other than these guys that we've been fighting along the way. Here's the other guy who's pretty annoying.
Okay, we should be across this bridge.
terms of other loot, there are a couple of chests. Not a lot. You get a lot of will from fighting those guys, but other than that, there's not a... It's a very large area for the number of rewards that you actually get. So, like I said, you can get a lot of seeds and plants.
A few more enemies.
A couple of chests.
And there's a boss that's going to be somewhere in this area. A relatively difficult boss, actually. There should be another shrine coming up.
Okay, so we did a loop around the warding temple.
Okay. Nope. We did a big loop.
The way forward is going to be a slide down area. Friends. Playing this for the first time, these little plant things were much harder. Let's collect this wisp. And if I die and have to come back through this area, I wouldn't fight them again. I'd run past most of them, but first time through, you just kill everybody. The benefit of that is you get more will, which leads to more arts, which leads to ability to continue your upgrades. You will never be able to upgrade everything in the first playthrough. You just don't get enough. Even if you did all the side quests, which I did, you still will end up not. But you can choose and redistribute, so so this introduces us to the next area of the game and some interesting characters.
元帅还是不肯归顺吗？再忍一时三刻，怕是就要化为脓血了。
好妹妹，里面凉快得很呐，就等你进来与我一起双修了。
元帅说笑了。你若放下执念，我自然会劝师傅放了你，到时便可同修大道。
哎，我可消受不起。看来那老贼得了师兄的玩意儿，果然功力大涨，连你这东天小官都被训得服服帖帖。不过听这动静，天命人已赢了塔下的金子。好妹妹，估着这金疙瘩要等不到你师傅来开喽。
这金挠是祖师爷的法宝，小小天命人如何破得了？
The character she's talking to was prominently featured in the novel Journey to the West. That turtle is a general. The person she's talking to is an admiral. So at least they were in their past.
师父惜你复兴，饶你一命，让你在浮屠塔底清修，既不识相，小西天的极乐之境，怕是与你无缘了。
And this, of course, means next boss fight. Another lightning-based boss. She's not all that difficult. At least in this phase, she doesn't move around a lot. She switches phases. She moves around a little bit more, like in this phase. So the idea is just continually dodge, since you can't hit her at that point. So you wait until she comes back down to the ground and resumes her normal form. And as you can see, she's rather slow, so you can run around and hit her. Depending on the stance you're using, I would say if you're using the smash stance, always get your max number of focus points. If it's 2 or if it's 3, because then you'll do more damage. And otherwise it'll be a bit of a prolonged fight because she will keep running up, jumping up and flying around and then going back in their regular form, spitting more lightning at you, rinse and repeat. That third form that she has a different moveset, but I don't think it's more dangerous than the other forms. You just have to avoid being killed by lightning. And there are lightning resistance, curios, lightning resistance armor, or shock resistance armor that you could use that will minimize some of this, as well as using mind cores to increase your immunity to some of this. It's over.
师傅果没说错，猴子最是冥顽，倒也无妨。这金脑，休想打开！
Of course, we can't just let her fly off. You know, it's funny because you don't always remember that you're actually on a giant turtle. It's called Turtle Island. In scenes like this, you're reminded that you're on a giant turtle. This is the introduction to
Here's our introduction.
one of the guys who was with Sun Wukong
To be
in the Journey to the West, or on the Journey to the
rest
West.
of the game.
Zubaji. Or Pigsy, as he was referred to in the book.
In the book, he was referred to mostly as Pigsy. I don't think he's ever referred to that using that name in this. They use his real name in this story.
峨棉花使人呐，拖拖拉拉的，老朱我在里面都快咽硬了。让开让开！我呸！人不人鬼不鬼的婆娘，不想想当年在天上，我几时拿正眼看过他？唉，又是这模样，毛脸毛眼，尖嘴缩腮，全仗着命大。又是个哑巴。算了算了，正事要紧。这只老龟，我倒有几分交情。这黄眉老怪不同别个妖王，花骨
He
难
accompanied
特地派我来处理，
the
生怕
monk
你中了他的算计。
and the Monkey King, or
他和
Sun
我说，
Wukong,
只
on
要
the journey
凑
to
齐
the
六
west.
根，便能救
There was
活
another
大
guy
师兄。
with them as well. I'm not quite sure why he's not in the game.
我且信他一回。我先去叙叙旧，你四处查看一番。
Once he disappears, we
Okay, so he's going to go his way, and we're going to do a little exploration. Find the shrine. One of the Longs is on this island.
the shrine.
I think it's Cyan Long.
We'll be meeting up with the Turtle General a little bit later, once we clear this area.
So the first boss was Kang Jin Star,
Another area.
and Cyan Long will be the next one that we come up against. Completely optional, but if you're trying to get to the secret
There's this thing.
section near the end of the game, you have to defeat all of the long bosses. At least maybe the 4 main long bosses, but along the way you'll end up defeating them all. Me running around looking for the
Cyan Long.
the shrine.
He's the next long boss we're going to fight.
Right here.
We're close to him, which is why he's talking. Usually you won't know until you get pretty close to his little area. Okay, so with this, we're going to explore the rest of Turtle Island, which is basically the giant turtle general. And when you finish exploring, you go and you talk to the new character that we just met, and the turtle general will take us to a different location.
And there is treasure, a couple of chests, lots of plants, a couple of those little small pot type things that give you some increases in stamina or something like that.
I want to take care of the non-boss first.
Couple of plants, things like that. Not a ton of enemies. There's Cyan Long. There are a bunch of the little.
Actually, he's fishing. I'm going to disturb his little serenity. He's also a lightning-based boss.
It's worth noting that if you don't have the item that you need, he will not activate. He will continue sitting there fishing. And that's true for all of the long bosses. You can only activate them if you get the item that you need. And you get that in beginning of chapter 2, when you fight the one of the Rat King princes. In order to get that item, since it's hidden away, you have to break a wall and then go through the crack in the wall. In a chest is that particular item. So you can actually defeat the boss of that area. If that boss never hits that wall, it won't crack. And you'll have to come back. And use your wandering light to hit the wall with your head and break the wall. Not one of those things that most people would easily figure out. If you're using a guide, the guide will tell you. If you're not, then you usually figure it out at some point later. So Cyan killed me the first time. It's a little bit careless. So we're going to go back and we're going to show him what our skill set really is like. So let's work our way back down there and be more careful.
attention to.
There's a particular tree that I usually use as a benchmark as to where he is. For whatever reason, I didn't really pay attention to that. And so I'm wandering around trying to get back to where he was. But along the way, I might find some interesting things, since I'm not going to cover the entire Turtle Island this playthrough. You find Zubaji, you fight Cyan Long, you talk to Zubaji, and the General Turtle, or Turtle General, will take you to a different place. So, this time through, we're going to not be careless. And of course, the pluck of many is incredibly helpful once they're fully leveled up. So with them, I get his health down to actually, with them, I defeated him totally. It's interesting because they don't last very long. They last a little bit longer if you fully max them out. They also get stronger, and you can also have them cast particular kinds of spells.
There's actually another long boss in this chapter.
Each of the longs will give you a treasure once you defeat them.
Which I believe is the last one.
And I'm not sure it's anything of note. Okay, and so now we're going to
do before we talk to
go back to the Turtle's Head area, which is where Zubaji is going to be.
Treasure and stuff like that.
Yeah, this game refers to him as Baji the whole time. They never call him Pigsy. And so it's kind of hard for me to call him Pigsy, although when I was reading the book, he was always Pigsy. So I refer to him as Baji. That's how the game refers to him.
One of those items.
So chapter 3 is an awesome chapter. I mean, I love chapter 3. It's pretty expansive because there are different areas that you go to. While it's all sort of snowy, the landscape is different in each one of them. Chapter 4 is a little bit like that as well. I mean, landscape doesn't change all that much, but the verticality of the game changes dramatically. Let's get our way through chapter 3 before we start going off about chapter 4. But it's definitely one of my favorite chapters. You know, the boss fights are awesome. The introduction of Baji gives you a little bit more backstory. He almost never stops talking. But if you listen to him, you'll get some sense as to what might have happened in the past.
Snag this one since it was along the way.
I think I mentioned earlier there were actually 3 of them who was traveling with the monk to pick up the scriptures, or find the scriptures, and journey to the west.
It's one of those plant.
Not quite sure why the third guy was not included in the game, but anyway. That is the turtle's head, and you can see Bashi
I
up
think
there.
we can. We'll end this episode
回老弟，
when we get to the next
这么
one.
多年被封在这鸟不拉屎的地方，苦了你了。你放心，等靠岸了，我一定上去先砸了那小破庙，给你和蛇兄弟报仇。
Chapter 3 is one of my favorite chapters in the game. It's only slightly less confusing than chapter
我懂，这石头活着死了都不如变回石头疙瘩。你呀，
So it's taking us to the
大年纪
northern shore of Bitter Lake.
哎呀，知道。哎呦，别哭了，老师在这候着，我去看看你那兄弟怎样了。
So as always, we unlock the shrine. And what we'll do is we'll go and meet the other Long in this chapter. And he's going to unlock a very important component for us. Okay. It's going to be off to the right side. There's a whole left area to explore. We're going to do that in the next episode. And this one, we're going to, of course, but yeah, Bajia will fight for you. He can also heal you. To a certain extent. I wouldn't rely on him all that often for healing. He was an admiral in the Navy, so he's pretty good. Okay, so the next long boss, he should talk. Let's see if he gives the same speech like all the other ones.
又一位了，黄眉莫不是把老兄的旧友都抓来了？
非礼勿视，非礼勿听，你这小儿叫我雅兴！
出老江来！满脸不认人。不是什么正道法术。这个老头怎么不给你养老送终？
哎呦，我死了算了！神仙做不成，又被你这猢狲欺负！哎呦，哎呀，老夫横竖你都忍不得了！
you definitely want to complete his quest.
He's sending us on
I'm not sure whether you can actually complete the game without completing his quest. Maybe you can. I'm not sure. It's a short quest, but it gives you an item that becomes important
Okay, so we'll
slightly later in the game.
哎呦，疼疼！
okay, we'll go to
And it only requires you to make one quick trip. So, in order to get that item, after you
return to him, give him
subdue him, you need to go back to Zudog,
to reward us.
who is in a cellar in Chapter 2. Unfortunately, when you go to fast travel, you can sort of see where the NPCs are. So that helps. Otherwise, I think it'd be difficult to remember where he was.
Crouching Tiger Temple.
So you go there, you have a conversation with Zudog.
You can also use your mind
And
course with Zudog.
I don't know whether you have to exhaust the conversation, but you hit the talk option, and eventually he will say something about that long that you just got through fighting. They all seem to know each other.
"不出户知天下，不窥友见天道。好汉别来无恙，救命之恩无以为报。这个，嘿嘿，便送与好汉吧。"
Zudog, sometimes referred to as the resident drug dealer,
So
since he always has these little things, and he seems to be hidden away. But he's a good guy. He sells you recipes, which means you will be able to create these medicines at the shrines as well.
said he needed.
Or you can go back to Zudog, but I'm not quite sure why you would go back to him once you get the recipes. The same thing is true of the guy who can upgrade your gourd. Once you find your favorite gourd and you max it out, you typically don't change them. There are times when you could change them because there's specific attributes that you might need in a particular area of the game, like poison reduction in Chapter 4, frost reduction in this chapter, fire reduction in the previous chapter. So things like that you can do with your gourds as well.
Okay, so we have 21.
But as the game goes on,
so we may as well amp up.
you'll get better and better soaks that you can use. And so while I'm here, I may as well use the mind cores to continue to max out the only attributes I haven't maxed out. So stamina is maxed, health is maxed, mana is maxed. The ones that I'm working on now are things like frost resistance, fire resistance, poison resistance, things like that.
察天地动静之机，探日月盈虚之妙，但可成。
And understand, resistance does not mean total immunity from these things. So you can still die from any of those banes, as the game refers to them. So you have to be careful about that.
内炼成丹。
You can have frostbane, and an Apramana bat can still freeze you. You can have shock resistance, and I just died to Cyan Long, so it helps. I think you notice it more if you remember what it was like before you had those resistances, because you would get killed pretty quickly. I mean, there are bosses in the game where you won't make any progress on them if they're hitting you with a particular bane.
话一行利一乾坤，妙哉妙哉，世间真奇不过
Which is why you get those curios items that can help increase resistance. Again, it doesn't make you totally immune. The fire bane resistance item that you have is probably the best item you have for fire resistance.
定是那老头欺
And
负你了。
it uses
我怪罪，我两个是旧相识。
your, I guess it's might, maybe it's
我
might.
太熟悉不过
But once that's used up,
人在，
unless you have a soak in your gourd that refills it,
去给他便是。
you can only use it once. Sometimes you can get to a point where you can use it twice. So you have to be careful about when you use those kinds of things.
The other guy. So now we can go back.
Late game, I found myself sort of using it at the wrong time and then realizing I should have saved it for a later part of the fight or for a second phase of a particular boss. So in some cases, you want to hang on as long as you can to some of that. But then it's frustrating when you get killed before you use any of those kinds of abilities because you're like, well, I had the ability. Why didn't I use it?
It's important to talk to the NPCs and unlock their quests is to get to this point.
So we're going back to the northern shore of Bitter Lake.
此河虽比不上通天河，
We're going to give Cyan
归家。
his
想当年，我跟师
pill.
兄两人过通天河时，别提多威了。
It's going to be over near this little
Yeah, he moved location, so he's no longer in the water. He's off to the side.
cabin.
哎呦，孺子可教，孺子可教。得此丹药，便有了开启那宝地的法力。这画中圣境，乃是我等合力打造的世外桃源。猴子既归位，六丁六甲也当重聚了。哈哈哈哈哈哈！
He's given us the keys to the Zodiac Village, which is one of the most incredibly helpful parts of the game. It's your hub. So the earlier you find this, the better. You can't find it too early because you can't find it before you get to the north shore of the Bitter Lake. But once you get there, it's really helpful to get it because then all of these NPCs that you've met earlier, or at least the vendors, will be in one place.
Hub of the game.
Including a new vendor
So you
who,
get to chapter 3 in order to get to the hub.
up to this point in the game, we've
The
not
only
met yet.
NPCs that you interacted with earlier, at least the ones who are vendors, will be there. So there's Zoodog. Actually, why don't we unlock the shrine first?
You'll always be able to travel,
Zodiac.
fast travel back using an item that's now in your inventory.
In the other place. In the,
So Zoodog is moved from the cellar. Shen Monkey is moved from chapter 1.
the guy who can enhance the sword.
That long guy is moved from Northern Shore Bitter Lake. And then you have one other guy who is introduced in this particular part. You don't see him anywhere else in the game.
So he will no longer be in the cave that we saw in chapter 1, I think it was.
岂料还能回这画中宝地？ 如此避世之所，与众亲饮酒欢会，还取什么鸟计？
So Qianlong, who we just fought and gave the pill to, will be here as well.
畅饮。
And
Boss we just
if
fought.
you bring him seeds that you've collected along the way,
往来无碍了。
he will give you
若
plants
少了我等，
that you can then use at the shrines to craft medicines.
相助，
So that's the whole purpose of finding him and going back to him, checking in with him from time to time.
老
So
夫
because
是看你
I
有
ended up
缘，这才
sort
带
of collecting
进来
just about every plant that I see in the game, I go back to him pretty often.
Harvest ingredients.
You don't have to talk to him to collect the plants because they're right next to him and you'll see them highlighted and you can just collect them. But I usually sort of talk to
店
him.
要走了，记得
They would be in those pots right
Harvest is,
there.
you won't see anything. There's nothing. But
And it's
when I looked
timed.
up
I'm not sure what the time is in terms of it, whether it's 15 minutes or whether it's an hour or how it works in this game. But I would say I probably go back to
in this section. Another NPC.
this area. I actually go back pretty often,
Armor.
actually.
He also sells armor. I don't remember what he sells weapons.
And this guy,
And increases the number of curios you can hold at any given time. In order to do that,
he's
you
a
have to
bit
actually
surly,
闲话少提，我没兴趣。
but he will craft weapons, upgrade weapons,
帮你把那身
upgrade
破的
armor,
换换。
increase your curios slots.
which I think
But in order to do that, you have to fight him and defeat him. And he's incredibly difficult
well, yeah.
at this point in the game. I think I fought him just to see if I could, and sort of he has movesets that you haven't seen yet in a game, so he beats me pretty quickly. Go back, level up, you know, enhance some particular skills, and it's still a difficult fight, but you do better. And of course,
Armor.
once I got into my second playthrough, he was pretty easy to defeat. And once you max out your curios, which I have, there's no real reason to fight him again. I guess you can do a skill check, so to see whether or not you beat him even quicker. So I was basically looking to see whether I had anything I wanted to switch to and just upgrade, because I have upgrade materials that I can't do anything else with. I guess I could sell. I just figured just upgrade everything while I'm here. If I want to switch outfits or armor, then at least I know that it's fully maxed.
神针在身，何不一战？比此番更上层楼，速去试试吧。能多挨两下，顶盔贯甲，更胜从前。神针在身，何不一战
For celebrating the Lunar New Year, you get a free outfit, one that wasn't in the base game, which is pretty cool. Which, of course, I'm not going to use.
未尝不可。顶盔贯甲，更胜从前。这才像个模样。不是。
Okay, and as you see, I can. I'll show you.
一身破烂，
Challenge him,
难怪登门。
but we'll do that a little bit later.
别等死
So
了
that is
再来寻我。
this area. And we can come back here anytime we want to if we need new medicines and things like that, or if you want upgrades.
Okay, that's
For now, we're going to go back to.
that's really the extent of Zodiac Village. So you can come back here as many times as you want, talk to the NPCs, level up if you choose to level up using Mind Core, and increase your armor and weapons and stuff like that. you'll eventually be able to do some of that through the shrines.
back,
I think at this
start
point in the game, you still need to come back to Zodiac Village to do it.
This area, there's still some
So what we're going to
to explore on
do
the right
is
side where,
wrap things up.
Cyan Long, where the long guy was.
And when we come back, we'll explore the
There's a
left
little path where he
side
was and up the hill.
relative
There's
to
some
facing
yeah,
away
brings another
from
side
the
quest. It's
shrine.
important for
We'll do the
game.
left side of the northern
And
shore
then
of Bitter
on
Lake.
the left side,
We did the right side where we fought Chen Long.
in this area.
And when we come
look at
back,
this as well. There's a
we'll
couple-
do...
it actually,
Actually, there's one more thing we need to do on the right side,
you need to complete the
and then we'll do the
program.
left side. So we'll handle that in the next video.
We will stop here.
Thank you guys for joining me.
We will return soon.
I am still
Right.
learning and working my way through dealing with various audio issues. One of these days I'll get it right. So take care, and we'll talk soon. Please like, subscribe, but more importantly, comment. That would be helpful. Take care. Bye-bye. Reg, out.